Welcome back, everyone, to another edition of the 70 Chipcast. This week is the Week 6 preview. I am your co-host, Robertson Vire, and other co-host across from me is Ben Parker, and we are ready to talk some Washington Commanders football here. Great week. Jaden's back. Jaden is Jaden, and a surprising win for me. Ben, I don't know if you feel the same way, but it's just a great week last week. I'm glad everyone's, starting to get back on track. Jaden looked fine. He looked reasonably healthy moving around, even with the bulky knee brace. Um, Everything seems to be looking up. So I'm happy, at least for this week. We'll see about this upcoming week. But how are we doing tonight?
What a difference a week makes, right?
Right?
Last week, coming off a loss, 2-2, kind of sort of thinking we might lose this Chargers game and might be at 2-3, have to dig ourselves out of a little hole. It's all great now. All right, life is good.
Yeah, yeah. And look, it's not perfect. We're gonna get into that here in a little bit, but. It wasn't perfect. We're also gonna preview the Bears Monday night game for this upcoming week. But before we do that, of course, we're going to talk about last week. And this guy, Bill and Jaden, literally were
Mm.
running through LA. I mean, this had to be Bill's coming out party. He's had a couple other big games this year where he definitely left his mark on the game. I mean, over 150 total yards, two touchdowns. I think it's safe to say at this point he's the most explosive back that we have in the backfield. I don't think that's really any question. And I have my reservations, obviously, putting a lot of faith into a seventh round running back. I'm starting to come around to that. I don't think he should get all the touches, but I think he should get most of them going forward. We can talk about that a little bit if you'd like. And then the defense, look, I have my qualms about the defense, and I'll get that to that here in a little bit. But they made turnovers. They created turnovers, and that was the difference in this game was the two turnovers that they forced. And had they not, we might be looking at a completely different result of this game. Um, so hats off to them for at least making plays when it mattered. Um, the other rest of that I could probably do without with. But again, I'll get to that here in a minute. Your reactions to the game last week.
We're going to hash out quite a bit of it, but let me stay on that running game because you and I talked about this last week, right? We said the Chargers were not great at stopping the run. We thought we could do that, right? And we talked about how the Commanders' running game so far is better than we expected. Whichever running back was going to be in there, but we wanted McCroskey Merritt. And, that's exactly what happened. Commanders were able to run the football a lot. That that is so huge, man. I say keep leaning into that like I did last week until defenses adjust to it. And I think you told me that they're number one rushing in football right now. The Commanders are.
Hmm.
Who would have imagined that, right?
Right.
So that's fantastic. We haven't played our best game yet. Jaden Daniels sure as heck hasn't played his best game yet. We've had a backup quarterback for 2 weeks. We're 3-2. I think we've played on the road 3 times so far, right?
Hmm.
And for us to be 3-2 through all of that, not playing well at times, 3 road games, 2 games without our franchise quarterback, and we're still 3-2. That's all a lot to get excited about. But the running game, especially, excuse me, the running game, especially, for it to have taken on this kind of strength right here, I'm so excited about that. That's some real bedrock right there. If you can punch with that running game and then let Jaden Daniels really start to play off of that, that's quite a combination right there. I love that.
Now, Jaden, I did want to talk about Jaden for a second. He didn't have his best game, not by a long shot, I don't think. He had a good game. Wasn't great, wasn't bad. It was just kind of like, yeah, that's your good average Jaden Daniels game if you're harking back to last season. Um, Definitely some stuff I think he missed. Um, but he was moving well. And I'll just point to the last drive where it was a very long drive, but he was the one orchestrating that, and that touchdown pass to end the game. I mean, that was just You just like I was, obviously I was like super excited, but like at the same time, I'm just like sitting there shaking my head like this dude's just unreal, man. And I think I've pointed this out before where guys like, the elite quarterbacks of the years, guys like Brady, Manning, Breeze, Roethlisberger, they could have less than stellar three quarters, right? But on that pivotal drive in the fourth quarter, they can just lock in and do what is necessary to, get their team to win. That's what this game kind of felt like to me. It's like he didn't play that bad the first three quarters, but when it mattered most, he really stepped up and delivered, especially on that last drive.
Yeah, and I don't know. Maybe this is just who Jaden Daniels will ultimately settle into be, right? Solid passer, electric runner, grade A playmaker, right? Maybe that's who he settles into be. We saw a lot of that last year in some different ways. But that's what really stood out to me on Sunday against the Chargers was just that playmaking ability, you know? I mean, he's in trouble. They've got him sacked and he goes and picks up a first down instead. You know, that's electric, right? Um, there's a couple of other times where he looks Lamar Jacksonish because he's able to get away from the pressure and he's just kind of standing over there looking downfield, trying to, throw the football to somebody. He's really not in any rush or danger. He's just kind of
Yeah.
standing over there waiting to throw the football. That pass downfield to McCaffrey. Oh my gosh, that's a heck of a pass. I still don't think he's got the strongest arm in football. I think a lot of guys have stronger arms, but that's a playmaking kind of a pass, right? And then you mentioned that ridiculous pass in the corner of the end zone to um,
Tebow.
yeah, to Debo to kind of seal the game there. I mean, so that playmaking is what stands out because there are guys that they have decent arms, they have a decent ability to read the defense, they have a decent ability to run the football, but they don't have that top end playmaking. And he's got it, and that can pop up at any time, but it seems to especially pop up in these fourth quarters, right? So, um, I I really love that playmaking. You're right; it's not his best game. He'll play better this year at some point, but that's just that electric playmaking ability, man. That's so special. Not many guys have that.
Yeah, one thing I would say, I would be fine with all the other mistakes or, misses or anything else, right? Get down. Just please, for the love of God, get down. I appreciate the competitiveness and him wanting to pull it all on the line, to get the extra yard to, reach across to get the first down. Get down. Please stop. I mean, when he cut back um, into a linebacker and then a safety in a corner, like went low, it was like you just held your breath. I think that might have been on the last drive, like the 99-yard drive, I think. And he just took like two or three shots on that play. It's like, oh my God, dude. Like, just get down, please. Um, I don't think it's a problem yet, but I don't want it to turn into a problem. Just get down. I
I
again,
agree.
I love the competitive spirit. I really do, but you're putting yourself in danger.
I agree. He looks awkward on a lot of these hits, right? There's a quarterback in college that I kind of got onto for the same thing. When you're taking all these awkward hits, they're hard hits, but you're kind of going down awkward too. Even if the hit doesn't get you, it doesn't take much for your leg to get twisted,
Hmm.
Like, let's be a little more purposeful. Either slide or step out of bounds, one or the other. Let's not take all these hard hits and these awkward landings that really increase your risk.
Yeah, if you want to dive forward, fine, whatever. I'm okay with that,
Yeah.
but just protect yourself because
Hmm.
without him, this team isn't much. It's average. It's incredibly average. So, um, th really quickly on the defense, I mean, tackling. We'll get to this later, but tackling was just not not great. Some very bad missed tackles. Now, granted, LA does have some playmakers that can make you miss. Still some. It seemed to me like miscommunications in coverage. Some blown coverages. Uh, Nothing, thankfully, too serious. But I think I told you pre-production. I don't know how this team only scored 10 points. It felt like, especially in the first half, that they were moving the ball at will, and for whatever reason, they only came up with 10 points. To me, it was shocking. That turnover, the fumble that I think it was Quan Martin that punched it out. That was a rather momentous play that really flipped things around. Because if he doesn't, we're probably staring at a 17-0 deficit. Um, but still a lot to work on this defense.
Yeah, that fumble right there, the punch out, you mentioned it because it could have been 17 to nothing. If not, it's probably 13 to nothing at least. Up until that point, it felt like here we go again, giving the other team the lead, us kind of just not showing up, not looking sharp, kind of just, laxing around. I mean, what the heck are we even doing out here? It reminded me of the Packers game early on. It reminded me of the other game that we lost, the Falcons game early on. I'm like, man, what are we, where's the real team at? Because I don't know who these guys are. But after that, it all changed. The momentum all changed, but their play changed too. Because even though their mistakes didn't stop, it seemed like not so much the energy. It seemed like they were just making plays as well. I think is a good way to put it. So now they're making plays, and I thought that was huge. I really liked what the defensive line did in this game. I thought they put a ton of pressure on Herbert. You saw that with what, 4 sacks and I think 9 quarterback hits, something like that. Herbert was under a lot of duress, and that we talked about that too. We didn't want Herbert sitting back there picking us off. I thought the defensive line. And listen, I get it. Slater's not in there at left tackle, and Joe Alt's not in there at left tackle. I got it. But still, I thought we owned the Chargers offensive line on Sunday. I thought that was huge for them not scoring many points. We did a good job with keeping Omarion Hampton from popping off. We did a good job of keeping Ladd McConkey from popping off. But I thought the big reason for that was our defensive line, and the blitzes too. Defensive line plus blitzes. I thought the coaching staff did a great job, and the players there did a great job of just exploding the Chargers' offensive line. And even though Herbert was being efficient with his passing, it wasn't for high yardage. He was having to get rid of it quick. He was having to dump it off a lot. That really limited everything. That helped out our secondary, which still continues to struggle. So I thought that defensive line did a fantastic job against an offensive line that obviously is injured and is overmatched. But I thought the coaching staff with the blitzes and the defensive line with the just pure raw energy and physicality, I thought that was the biggest reason why the Chargers weren't able to score many points. I just can't say enough good things about that in particular.
I forget when it was. There was one drive where the Chargers they couldn't get out of their own way. It was just penalty after penalty after penalty. I think there
Yeah.
was like three straight penalties.
Yep.
But during those plays, I think it was either illegal formations or three straight holding calls or something of that nature. And but the play that took place, they were either close to first down or they would had it was giant chunk plays. It was first I would think it was a 2nd and 10, and then it was a 2nd and 15, and then it was a 2nd and 25 or something crazy like that. And all but one of them, like they were either at the marker or close to it. And it's like, dude, what are we do? Why are you even allowing that? Like I get there was a penalty, but like that has to do with your secondary. Like, come on. It was frustrating. I know I'm nitpicking here on plays that didn't even technically happen, but but it's just an example of like how bad our secondary is playing right now. And
Yes.
we gave up 10 points. I understand that looks great on paper. I understand that, oh, it's like, oh, we didn't do that bad. Eye test to me still is not passing with the secondary or just the defense in general. Front four again, the blitz packages Joe Witt did or whoever's in charge of calling these blitz packages and all that. Hats off to you, sir, because without that we probably don't win this game. We don't create some of those turnovers. So um, happy about that, but rest of the defense I could have done without with.
Yeah, agreed. Secondary still a major minus right now. It's a minus. It's a deficit right now. Offensive line still very much a work in progress for sure. The mental mistakes everywhere, hurting ourselves, the tackling is just bull crap. We got to quit that. So But still, man, it's a big deal. This was an electric game. My roller coaster of emotions was far more up and down in this game than any other Commanders game this year. It was electric. I mean, goodness gracious, the not just the coming from behind on that 10 to nothing deficit we were under, but boy, you could just feel it later in the game. The Chargers were trying to make a push and they were about to make a push and then they didn't.
Hmm.
And then it's like, oh, it's fourth quarter. Here we go again. The Chargers are going to pull something off and they didn't. You could feel the emotions in that game more than any of the others this year. It's a big deal for us to go on the road and win against a Harbaugh-led team. I mean, it really is. That's a huge deal. But still, you're right. We made a lot of plays, but boy, we left a lot on the table too, man. There's
Hmm.
still a lot of bad stuff going on out there. So we got to get it cleaned up.
Yeah, it was very reminiscent of last year, the way we had to win games last year. It's like, okay, we
Yeah.
gotta come back from behind.
Yep.
Defense isn't playing too well, but we created some turnovers, so that's negating some of this. And then Jaden is just being Jaden, playing hero ball, getting us out of jams and stuff, overcoming some rather large deficits of our own doing. It was very reminiscent of the Cardiac Commanders of 2024. So hopefully
Yeah.
that's not the case. As long as we get the same results, I don't really care. But
Right.
um, maybe a little. Can we win convincingly every once in a while? Can we do that? Is that okay to do? And not
I'd
against the
settle for just
Raiders,
taking a first quarter lead, on the road.
right?
Can we not go behind by double digits? Do we have to spot them 10 points at the start of a road game?
Well, we don't have to worry about this week because we are at home against the Chicago Bears, who I believe they had a bye last week, but you know, I look, I'm still not a Caleb Williams guy. I understand the last time he was out, I think he threw like four touchdown passes or something crazy like that, and that's fine, right? But until otherwise, until he does that consistently multiple weeks throughout the year, I don't trust him. Okay, but tell her this is your little scouting report here about the offense defense through. Is this through 5 weeks? I'm assuming now.
Yes, it
Okay,
is.
okay,
Minus the Monday night game. Through
right,
5 weeks, minus the Monday night game, basically.
right. S-
I'm going to divide this in two parts. I'm going to stay here on the grades because you mentioned Caleb Williams, right? And I'm a Caleb Williams guy, but at the moment, I've got him graded C. You can see it here on the right
Mm-hmm.
side.
Yeah.
Okay. What's he done? He'll have a game where he'll light it up for 350 yards, right? And then he'll have two ugly ones, you know, and then he'll have an average one and he'll go back through the cycle again. So he hasn't done anything to justify the faith that a lot of us have put in him. And I know people who don't like him at all, and that's fine. But so he's got a C grade. He is dangerous. He's very dangerous. He's got a big arm. He can, he's mobile like nobody's business. Goodness gracious, this guy can move around, but he's still not consistent. So the running back room is fine. The strength, to me, this is a very pedestrian roster when you look at the talent. The wide receiver room, to me, has become a strength with DJ Moore, who we already know is good.
Hmm.
Roma Dunze has had a heck of a season so far. He has really come on. He has been the guy that a lot of people, excuse me, thought he would be at draft time. He has really come on. So he's a legit guy now, I think. So that's two legit guys right there at wide receiver. That's why they got the B grade. Boy, you look at tight end, offensive line. To me, it's all pedestrian. It's not bad. It's just remarkably pedestrian to me. And you get over to the defense. It's a lot the same. I like the safeties. I like the linebackers, but they're not going to crush it. You're not laying awake at night, worried about what these linebackers and safeties are going to do. I think they're on the plus side. I think they are good. After that, though, from a talent standpoint, it's remarkably pedestrian to me, and you may see it a little bit differently on either side of the football, but this is just not a super talented team yet. It's better than it was 2 years ago. It's balanced. It is fully capable of beating us for sure, even on the road. It's just not spewing talent out of every pore right now. It's remarkably pedestrian to me from a talent standpoint.
For me, I feel like part of it is that they just didn't have a great roster for a few years, and so now with Caleb Williams, with Ben Johnson, with what I think it was a year or two ago, that defense really started taking form in terms of talent, that those combinations like make it seem like they have a much more talented roster than they actually do, you know. Uh I think it's okay. I know they've been dealing with some injuries in the secondary this season, so maybe that's part of the reason for why some of their reason for some of their struggles. What I think is interesting is that through 5 weeks, and correct me if I'm wrong, they did have their bye week last week.
I that sounds right. I can't remember for sure. Yeah.
Okay. And look at the ranks still. These are ranks and they didn't even play one of these games, right? So I feel like that's kind of telling that the defense just for whatever reason not performing the best. First down, or sorry, excuse me, third down defense, they're still ranked number one. That's rather insane. And turnovers are ranked three, even though they didn't. Again, they didn't play last week, but still, everything else outside of that, yikes, right?
Yeah, agreed. I think so. I think it's a smart staff. I think that's well coached. I think that's why you're seeing the third down percentage. But they are getting turnovers. But boy, they're giving up a lot of yards and they're giving up a lot of points. That's why all the red there. 28th in points per game, 27th in yards per game allowed. I mean, it's not a good defense right now. It's just not. I listen. I know people are saying that it's better than it's showing. I look at the talent base. I don't see it right now. To me, they're not as bad statistically as what they're showing, but it's still an average defense to me right now. And we'll see if it plays better on the offensive side of the football. Okay, they're good at third downs, but that's
Yeah.
all they're good at. Points per game they're 11th, so that's good. Red zone they're 16th, that's okay. Yards per game 17. They're not running the football very well, and their EPA per play isn't very good. So, it's just kind of you know it's a dangerous team, but it's not to overwhelm at any point statistically or talent wise.
Now, I don't. We're gonna get you to your keys of the game towards the end. What's the biggest issue that the Commanders are gonna face facing the Bears?
To me, it's if we okay, it's the wide receivers versus our secondary. To me, the wide receivers are their best group, and Caleb Williams does have a big arm, and he can move outside the pocket and extend the plays. So if he gets time to do that, I think their wide receivers are going to burn up our secondary. To me, that's the big one. Out of all the different matchups we might face or the worries we might have, it is our secondary, which has not played well this year, right? We've talked about it ad nauseum, going up against what I think is a pretty strong wide receiver group here. I would I do not feel good about our secondary lining up against this wide receiver group right now.
So, regardless of the outcome of the game, if Caleb Williams is just torching us, I mean, he's carving us up left and right, and we've seen
Mm,
how much he's struggled at times this season.
yeah.
What's your level of concern at that point?
It's a lot. I still like the Commanders to win this game, but boy, just from looking at the secondary, if Caleb Williams is carving us up, which he could, again, big arm, mobile in the pocket, can extend plays, he could rack up 300 yards on us and we still win. Do not be surprised at that. I mean, because these Bears receivers and even the tight ends, which are not world beaters, but you got Colston Loveland pitching in as a rookie. He's not getting a lot of playing time, but some. And then you've got Cole Kmet, who's just a decent, solid tight end there. These guys can they've got guys to throw the football to. So I'm going to be concerned if they start racking up a bunch of yardage.
I tend to agree with you there, unfortunately, but let's move on to some happier things, right? So I've
Here we go.
we've evolved this segment here to was the Vyers on fire list. But then when we lost, it's like I don't really want to say anyone's on fire, and instead of maybe some people that should be fired or at least on the hot seat. Um, so we evolved it a little bit because there's pros and cons to every win, every loss. So we're gonna toast some players, and then we're gonna also roast some players here.
Roasted or
Okay.
toasted?
Roasted or toasted. So toasted, obviously. This man, Jaden Daniels. Again, we said didn't play the best game. He didn't have a bad game though. And based off of the knee brace and him being off for 2 weeks, and the fact that he didn't really get going at all prior to that, I'd say this was a good first step in the direction, of returning to what he was last year and maybe even something more than that. So, toasting to you, sir. Um, continue building on on what you did last week in LA on the road. Let's see what you can do against a defense that hasn't been as impressive as LA's has been. So, again, I don't want to say it's a test this week, but I'd like to see him. I'd like to. I would like to see us just win this game flat out. Just go
Right.
on national television on Monday Night Football and be like, "Hey, it might be interesting for a little bit, but at no point did we think that Washington wasn't going to win." Like I would thoroughly enjoy a game like that. With Jayton being the reason. Next, Bill. Man, I don't know if I should call him Bullet Bill. Um, do some sort of spin-off on Bill Nye because I think it'd be cool. Like whenever he gets the ball,
Mm,
just chant Bill, 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 like like
yes.
the Bill Nye theme song. I think they should do that when they introduce, if they do player introductions when they introduce him. I think that would be cool if they start playing the Bill Nye
Oh
theme
yeah.
song.
Yeah.
That'd be fun. But look, over 150 total all-purpose yards, 2 touchdowns. Definitely his coming out party. On a nationally televised game, at that. There's no reason why he shouldn't be getting the primary touches going forward. Not all of them, but I would say he should be the first guy for that gets first crack most of the time. Uh, the cuts that he makes, it's not quite that level, but it's reminiscent of a guy like Le'Veon Bell, where he can just make the first guy miss and he can just find the hole and just wiggle through, even though if it all looks lost, he can still get 4 or 5 yards out of it. I'm not putting him on that level. It's just reminiscent when you watch him, I think. And he's sneaky fast, man. I mean, he's able to explode out of the hole and, run past second and third level guys. Haven't seen him really take off downfield yet, but I think that's coming. Next, Deebo Samuel. Look, not impressive numbers, right? There's nothing gaudy about anything that he's done this year, right? But he has been steady. He has been reliable. He's had some drops at times this year, but generally speaking, this guy has changed the way that we call our offense, the way we utilize our offensive weapons. And he's really, I'd say, the driver of this offense is Deebo Samuel. Obviously, Jaden Daniels is the one kind of directing things, but Debo's kind of like the gas that makes this offense go. Without him, the offense would look very different. So even though he wasn't, again, a bunch of gaudy numbers that he puts up, still a very solid performance and just being very consistent. And then Luke McCaffrey, look, again, a guy that's not making a huge impact right now, but when he's stepping up, it matters. Like that catch that you mentioned earlier was like 50 some yards downfield. I mean, he caught that with a defender draped over him. He's made some
It did.
impactful kick returns. He's made some other big catches. So hats off to him. Just continuing to make, his opportunity here with McLaurin out, making that opportunity count. Um, your thoughts on the toasted list?
Oh, I love it. This roasted and toasted segment. And I love the fire on fire segment too. But so let me hit each of these really quick. Jaden Daniels. To me, this was the best game he's played this year. And I don't know about statistically. I didn't look that up. But this looked like the game where he was making the most good passes, I'll put it that way, and the most electric running plays, coming off of an injury too. He looked like he was with it. And I still expect him to play better at some point, on some of these games, but I thought he was electric, at times. That was huge. You mentioned Krosky Merritt, that running game. And you mentioned he's sneaky fast. Where I think it shows up the most is twice we saw it. Him scoot to the corner around the tackle, and nobody was able to contain him. He even scooted around a defensive back that was out there. The quickness, you could see it, him getting to the pylon, getting to the corner. You're like, wow, that's a little different. Not everybody can do that. that's a threat right there. You
Yeah.
know, it's not O'Marion Hampton level fast, but still that ability to scoot and catch the edge before the linebacker or the defensive back can get you. Man, that's the difference between 3 and 4 yards versus 10 yards or touchdown, you know? Like
Hmm.
that's bonus level stuff. I hate to call Debo the MVP of the offense because I'm not sure that's quite accurate, but without him being in there, I'm not sure we're 3-2. I think it's that big of a difference. I really
Hmm.
do. He has looked so healthy, and he's not producing what he was 3 years ago, but still he's able to do anything we need him to do and do it healthily and fast. And without him, I just don't think we're 3-2. I think he's making that big of a difference right now. And then Luke McCaffrey, yeah, once or twice a game, right? Every game, the past 3 or 4 weeks, once or twice a game, there's this big play that he's providing. So I love to see it. I didn't really expect that, but I there it is.
All right. So now we get to the the roasted portion. Okay. You're cooked. Okay. Anyways, Laramie Tunsil. Look, he didn't
Hmm.
have a bad game.
Yeah.
Okay. Didn't have a bad game. You know, look at his passing grades, pass protecting grades, not bad. You know, actually pretty good. But we knew it when we traded for him that this dude leads leagues in penalties, but it's harder to say that in March and understand what that means, and then you watch the game and it's like, oh, this dude's absolutely killing us right now.
Right.
And it's been every week. It's been every week. He's been had a penalty called on him, whether it's been accepted or not accepted, that's irrelevant. This dude's getting at least one penalty called on him a week, which is the same or if not worse than a sack. Okay, I'd almost rather him give up a sack every week. You know, it might be less yardage than a 10-yard holding penalty or something stupid like that. Um, it's just not great. You got to get this under control, man. I mean, because as we get deeper into the season and the margins are very thin right now in the NFC, there's not a lot of room for error. And once we get to the playoffs, there's going to be no room for error. So we can't have these BS dumb penalties getting called against you when you're more than capable of tightening up and working on your technique a little bit more, getting a little quicker maybe if you're struggling against a speed rush, or communicating more with. There's got to be a fix for this. Okay, find it, get it done. Um, Mental mistakes, man. I mean, just so many penalties, so
Hmm.
many penalties, so many miscommunications in the back end, so many blown coverages. Uh, It's 5 weeks, man. I mean, I don't know who's to blame for this. I don't know if it's Quinn. I don't know if it's Witt Jr. It's not just all on the defense; it is on the offense as well. So maybe it's a Quinn thing, but it seems primarily the defensive mistakes. Uh, Again, there's got to be a fix for this. I don't know if it's again that we're not on the same page yet. That's still early in the season, but we gotta tighten up because although we had the turnovers, we got Jaden. There's gonna be times where that's not gonna be enough, and it's gonna cost us a game, if not multiple games. And finally, tackling. Oh my goodness, I mentioned it earlier. How piss poor was that tackling performance? I mean, I seriously, I'm struggling to figure out how this Chargers offense only scored 10 points.
Yeah.
It just
Yeah.
look that we made plays at times, right? But there were several times where Hampton was making the first one or two guys miss. There were other times where guys were just getting free, and it was just like, man, can someone get this guy down? We missed a couple tackles on Herbert, and it's like, man, we this is just not a good tackling day. And that's going to cost you first downs. It's going to cost you field position. It's going to cost you points. It's going to cost you wins. And it's been a 5 week issue at this point. I think I mean, we tackled well against the Raiders, but again, the Raiders are a mess. So that's not really we're going to hang our hat on that, you know? So outside of that, it hasn't been great and it really needs to get better.
1,000% agree. I've kind of backed off harping on it because I didn't want to, sometimes I'm bad about doing that, but I totally agree. The mental mistakes, the tackling, And again, it's not even aggressive mistakes for the most part. It's just dumb. It's like, you should have learned when you were in college and high school not to do that. And here you are doing that. And, you're pros and you're making a bunch of money. And this is just dumb mistakes. I don't understand what the problem is here. The miscommunication, the poor tackling, just the sloppy tackling. I don't know what the answer to that is other than just getting after it in practice and focusing more. I don't really know exactly. It's like a little bit of a disease that's gotten into the building, right?
Hmm.
We have been cursed with it this year. We got a little fortunate in that the Chargers this week made almost as many mistakes as we did. So, it kind of canceled itself out. But if we were playing a more efficient team whose offensive line wasn't hurting, maybe we lose that game going away, right? Because they already had that double digit lead because of a lot of our mistakes and our goofball stuff. It's got to quit. Real quick on Tunsil. Tunsil is one of a handful of the most talented offensive linemen that has come out in the past 10 or 12 years. I mean, he's right up there with the top five talent wise. And he's still got a lot of that talent, even though you can start to see a little bit of an age defect, right? But somewhere last year, this started, and I don't think it's going to stop. I always felt like one reason he never reached his full potential, I don't want to tag him as lazy, but it often felt like to me, even in his prime, that he didn't finish off plays and that he kind of sort of felt like he could coast on the talent and he kind of sort of felt like he could manage and control guys. And it never really felt like he was pushing to be efficient from a technique standpoint, like he was pushing to improve week to week. It just never felt like that, even in his prime. And so I feel like now that you're seeing that little bitty age defect, you're also now starting to see the holding and the false starts because he hasn't worked on his technique as much as I would have liked for him to over the years. I'm not saying that he is lazy and I'm not saying that he hasn't worked because I don't think you can maintain at this level without it. I'm just saying he doesn't feel like he's put as much work into this game as I wish he would have from a technique standpoint. And now that the age is hitting him a little bit, it's showing up. I'm still glad we traded for him. It's really upgraded the talent here. It makes a huge difference from an energy standpoint. But I think these penalties are here to stay. I don't think they're going away. We're just going to have our fingers crossed that it doesn't happen in a big game at the wrong moment, right? Um, Hopefully it happens at innocuous moments instead of,
Right.
being a drive killer when we had to have it, right?
Hmm. Right. I mean, I totally agree with everything you said. It's just a little disappointing. Again, I thought through 5 weeks that some of the stuff would have been figured out and fixed already, but
Yeah, it should
you
have
know,
been. What are we
it's
doing?
I don't know. I don't know. But let's go over to what your keys for the game are. And I again to you Bear fans out there, I had to post this picture on these slides because well, you know the deal. So
Robertson, you're all heart, man. Key number one, run
all
the
heart.
football.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
run the football. It's the one clean, efficient, dependable, reliable thing we're doing well right now. So let's stick with it. And I mean on offense, defense, special teams, whatever. This is it. So it's not what we expected. We didn't expect to be with if we were going to be the number one rushing team in football, I'm sure we all would have thought, and I know I would have thought that that means Jaden Daniels is balling. He is running his mind out, but he's not. It is the running back, and it's Krosky Merritt. Okay, that's the driving force behind this run game, and the offensive line seems to generally be able to be creating those holes, and Merritt is finding them. And when it's not there, he seems to have the ability to kick it out. So let's keep pushing that. I don't remember exactly where the Bears ranked on this run stopping thing, but I think it was middle of the pack. So I feel like we can run the football in Chicago just like we did on the Chargers, and I think we keep pressing that. And Jaden Daniels can play off that very well. If we can run the football, I think Jaden becomes almost unstoppable in this Chicago game. But I'm going to run the football number one.
That would certainly be ideal. It takes pressure off of Jaden. You don't have to use Jaden in the run game as much if you can get Bill going.
Mm-hmm.
And Rodriguez and McNichols, for that matter, too, understood Bill's not going to get all the carries, but You gotta get a flow going, and you can't abandon the run too quickly. I'm all for mixing things up, but if on first down you got this exotic pass play or exotic play action play, and it doesn't work out, you're staring second and 10 in the face, you get a yard on second down on a second down run. It's like, oh, let's run the football, and then you're facing a third and 9. So it again, I think I've said this before where I'm fine with mixing things up, but you got to try to get yards when you can.
Yeah, agreed. Number two, be aggressive on third and fourth down. Okay. We made a living off of this last year. It helped us out a lot from an energy standpoint, from covering up for a bad defense, extending our own drives, right? It allowed for different play calling on third down, knowing that we were going to go for it on fourth down if it was close. It allowed Jaden Daniels to have more freedom and just kind of play around and be himself. So for all the same reasons, I think we should do it in this game. I don't think we should back up. We're the better team here. It's not super close, but still, I don't see any reason why we should back off, play conservative, and just hope our talent outs here. I think we should keep the pedal to the metal. And that statistic, what really drives this, the Chicago Bears, for whatever reason, I think it's good coaching, but they have been very good on third downs this year as a defense. They're what, sixth in the league, I think. It's the one thing they do well as a defense, which probably means they're probably not getting in too short a down and distance on third down, but they're also playing smart on third downs. So knowing that, that means our third downs are going to be more difficult. So let's just go ahead and turn them into third and fourth downs. Let's call third down, planning to go forward on fourth. I think that again opens up our aggression. I think it opens up our energy. I think it gives Jaden Daniels more ability to be himself and do the playmaking thing, knowing, hey, if I don't get it here, I can do it on fourth, and it opens up the playbook. So let's be aggressive on third and fourth down. I think that's important.
Couldn't agree with you more on that one. I think we should be a little bit more aggressive. We saw it. I mean, heck, we saw it last week with the fourth and 7, right?
Yes.
So
All right. Number three is aggression again, but it's aggressive specifically here, blitz, run blitz. Our secondary sucks right now. Way more than I thought it was going to. I mean, it just sucks booty. Okay. I mean, I'm sorry. It just, it does. And I haven't seen any signs of it getting any better. It might, maybe 3, 4, 5 weeks from now, we shuffle things a little bit. We're better. Right now, we're not. So we have got, and I might have should have put this one first. We have got to shut down it's a bad Bears running game right now, right? They don't run the football very well at all, but I don't want to let them get started. I want to keep them one dimensional. Okay. So let's shut down the run game for the Bears. Do not let them eat chunks up on us that way. While we're doing that, let's use this same aggressive, what we showed last week and last year, this same aggressive mindset on the front line, because I think our front line's better this year than it was last year. Let's just overwhelm this offensive line as much as we can, blow it up, wreak havoc. Okay. The last thing I want is for Caleb Williams going up against our secondary with this group of receivers that he's got to work with, Adunze and more. I don't want that. So let's not let that happen. Let's really get up in his face. Let's really be aggressive. We may give up one or two big plays. I'll live with it. I just don't want him chewing us up out there because he is dangerous. Caleb Williams is dangerous. We've seen him throw for 300, 350 yards and 3 touchdowns and no picks before. So
mhm.
let's not let that be easy. Let's hope for some turnovers here by being aggressive here. I just don't want my secondary sitting off back there getting picked off like we've seen. So that's number three.
Again, I gotta agree with you here that, to counteract this, you don't just set 8 back, and play zone. You gotta especially a guy like Caleb Williams, you gotta speed up his process because he's gonna hold on to the ball. He's gonna hold it, hold it, hold it. So if you
Yeah,
can try to
yeah,
speed him up and make him force him to make some bad decisions or let him get his feet set or anything like that, then that's just gonna be advantage us all game long.
yeah. I listen. We've got the bodies to rotate, even though we've had the injuries. Right, we've still got enough bodies to rotate, keep fresh. I want Bobby Wagner in there working on the run game, which he's brilliant at. and then dropping into pass coverage as he sees fit, which again he's brilliant at. I kind of want Frankie Louvu to somewhat blitz slash spy Caleb Williams. I think he's fit for that. Just really all get up all in his business. Do not let him breathe. Sainristil's Sainristil's good for that too, but I need Sainristil back there covering somebody because we need
Yeah.
somebody to cover somebody. So
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
let's let Luvu be the guy that's kind of the X factor there on Caleb Williams and just kind of rag him the whole time. And I think that will work for us. I really do.
All right, Ben. Final score.
I like us here this game. I really do. I don't think I've predicted a blowout yet this year. Um, Listen, I like us to cross the 30 mark. So I'm
Yep.
going to call us 31. I really do. 31 points for us. I really do. We're at home. It's Monday night. We got a whole bunch of energy here. To me, this is an average Bears defense, not a bad one, but it's an average one. I don't think it's on the plus side yet. Maybe it gets there. It's not there right now. And then, the Bears, okay. I'm convinced they're going to rack up some passing yardage on us. I just am. I'm fairly well convinced, and they're going to score at least two touchdowns, maybe a third. So let's call it 21 points for the Bears. So I've got Washington 31, Bears 21. And if I had to pick a direction, I would pick a Commanders larger win than that. I'm not going to pick a close game here. I'm just not.
I've got us winning this game about 34 to 25. Um,
Okay.
it sounds closer than it's going to be. I'm just thinking it's going to be
Right.
a late Bears touchdown, either successful or missed 2-point conversion, and it was really 34 to 17 the most of the most of the evening. So I think it's going to be a rather dominant performance. But again, I was long last week. Wrong last week. Hopefully, I'm not wrong again this week. Because there's no reason why this shouldn't be an easy win. No win's easy, but there's no reason
Right.
why we shouldn't come out of this game with a win.
Yeah. The one thing I will say, I feel like our running game and Jaden Daniels is the best thing going on in this game. So early on in the game, I might not, you see all the aggression I'm suggesting here. I don't know that I would necessarily just open the game up with cover zero or cover one and just invite Caleb Williams to beat me downfield and then I'm down 7-0 and then oh crap, we made a mistake and I'm down 14-0. I'm not sure I want to start off the game red hot, bloodshot eyes, thirsty, right? But as the game goes on, I think we should get more aggressive, not less. I really feel like, if we want to start off in too deep and challenge Caleb Williams to consistently beat us downfield with consistent drives early on while we're trying to get a lead with our running game and Jaden Daniels, which I think we can do, maybe first quarter play it more normal. But by second quarter, I really want to see this aggression start to kick in and us really start to kind of put our foot on the pedal here. I think we can do that. I really feel good about this.
I think we can too. And again, to me, there's no reason why we shouldn't. So, um, hopefully we're
Yeah,
both right, right?
I hope so. Hail to the Commanders.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, we're gonna get you there. We'll get you there, Ben. Um, please make sure you subscribe to this channel here, Pro Football Enterprise. Ben does a lot of work on this channel here. He's been grinding, putting in the hours, putting in the film study. I joke with him sometimes like, oh, he took this week off. He's in his basement just grinding film sessions. And no, please make sure you subscribe. I mean, it's not just Commanders content, it's a ton of other football content, college football. Um, it's a lot of good stuff. So make sure you subscribe, turn on notifications, and while you're at it, go ahead and do box score as well. Whether it's through Apple or Spotify, on YouTube, um, totally up to you. Whatever your preferred method is to listen to all these great shows and get some awesome content.
Yeah, I'll mention Simon and Friends because it's my turn to be on there this week. I'm one of the guys that gets to take turns, right?
All right.
And we'll be covering the top 14 or so, 14 to 18 skill position players in the upcoming draft. So, if you're thinking about tight ends, and you may not be thinking about the draft at all, that's fine. But if you're a Commanders fan and you're thinking about tight ends, we're going to cover the top three or so of those guys. Running backs, wide receivers. We'll be covering each of those as of right now. And, so go check that out. That's going to be on Apple and Spotify with Simon Short.
Perfect, absolutely. So make sure you tune into that. Make sure you're subscribed to here Pro Football Enterprises, and we'll see you all next week. Hopefully after a Monday night win and previewing Week 7 against I don't even remember who it is. I think it's the Chiefs, but honestly I lost track. I don't know who we play next week. But yeah, I hope you all have a good Week 6 on Monday night.